Hi everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of the Graft Concept podcast. Bit of a different one this time. Hyrox in the UK, the season's just around the corner, and I've got Rob Nugent, who's been on the podcast previously, who's a CrossFit coach out of OL1 CrossFit in Oldham. He's also a Hyrox coach and doing the men's doubles at Birmingham in about 3 weeks' time. So Rob and I have been chatting offline quite a bit about Hyrox, what to be doing, tips that we've probably sort of need to remind each other from previous ones, and thought it might as well just record an episode, put it out there, and hopefully people that are doing Hyrox or interested in them can take a few tips away. So, Rob, good to have you back on, mate. 3 weeks out, what are some of the things that you're starting to think about now with Hyrox Birmingham just round the corner?
Chris, how's it going, mate? Yeah, just to sort of clarify where I'm at with it, I'm a social Hyroxer. I'm there. With me and my partner Stu. We are enjoying the process. We're having fun. We're not going to win it. We're going to do our best, and that's where most people are, and where most people need to be. And there is some specialist one-on-one coaches, online coaching for people who really want to take it up to the next level. But where I'm spending my time is getting the basics right, being able to work for an hour 15, an hour and a half, depending on what your experience levels are in terms of can you plough through our workout for an hour plus. And for me, where I'm at, obviously background in CrossFit, we don't collectively do a right lot of running, so I'm just trying to get some miles under my feet and try and find with my partner a pace. So he's currently, and last time we did that, we did the Manchester one. Stu was the stronger runner, and I was the stronger on the inside on the obstacles. Stu's still the stronger runner, and has got better at all the other stuff as well. So we're trying to find a level that we can work to together, because we're not identical in terms of our fitness. So currently we're sort of dialing in a few the mechanics of who's going to do what and when, how fast or slow should these runs be, and how we're going to stick together to get ideally beat our last time. That's where we're at.
So what time did you get on the last one? Was that January Manchester?
Yeah, January Manchester. We got a 1:11.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's a really good time, mate. So, like, when you were talking there about like working out how to get the strategy right, get your pacing right, like, I think a lot of people probably don't know how to do that if they haven't been through that process before. So, what does that look like? Are you just pitching up at the gym together and then going, right, let's see what feels about right in terms of sort of RPE 8 on the ski and where that comes out as a number, and how far can we sustain that without needing to have a breather? Like, how are you going through that process to decide what pace you'll go on the different stations or the runs on the day?
Yeah, so obviously we've done it before, and I think it's important that if it's your first event, is to go and have loads of fun, but do have an idea of where you need to be and what time, and don't be worried about what everyone else is doing around you and all that kind of stuff. But I'll give you an example. Part of the programming that we did at the gym last week was one of the workouts was a 2K run. So me and Stu ran that together, and afterwards it was like, how did that feel? Was it 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10? Now afterwards, I think we ran an 8:50 for the 2K, so pretty fast, but not sustainable for Hyrox fast for us where we're at right now. But it was just working out. Stu, how did that feel to you? And he's like, I was at 7.5. And I was like, well, I was probably near at 8.5 in terms of your RP, that exertion out of 10. 0 being me, you talking now, 10 being a 100-metre sprint. How did that feel? And I came away from that 2K run going, actually, I feel pretty good. I'm happy that I did that with him, not on my own, because we're kind of just getting used to each other again. So can you push? Can you pull back? Who's taking the lead at this point? A funny story, but cost us a few seconds last year, is we did an extra lap on the first one. We just got overawed into into the event, into what was going on. We didn't particularly make time for a warm-up because we had a choice. It was either go to the toilet or warm up. We chose to go to the toilet because the queue was massive. We ended up doing little shuttle runs up and down the concourse of the GMX to the convention centre just to do something. So by the time we 3, 2, 1 go, our heads were away with how annoyed we were. We hadn't got a chance to warm up properly because we were too busy going for the toilets. And so we actually ended up doing an extra lap, which I don't know how long a lap was there, maybe a minute and a half, something like that. And that just sideswipes us for the first 15, 20 minutes of being furious at ourselves because we hadn't agreed who was taking charge of counting.
Yeah.
We hadn't even worked that out. We just went 3, 2, 1 go. So just little things. And being able to work together and going at the pace of the right person to go off at that time. So sometimes it's someone's going to take charge and push you on. Sometimes someone's going to just sort of say, look, let's just ease back a little bit. We're going a bit too fast here. And that's where having these little wearable watches and things might just help out with sort of an ideal pace and just seeing where you think you might be on that on a potential finish time.
Yeah. So some of the other things to think about on the doubles in terms of sort of rules and things is that it's not just a case of sort of when you're resting on the stations just kicking about, is it, and grabbing a drink or whatever. Like the stations, there's a water station in the rock zone in the middle, isn't there? And that's the only place you can sort of officially take on fluids. And there's little mats to stand on. Like if you don't stand on them, I think like there's a risk you're going to get punished. I mean, my gut feel this season is that they're going to be a bit stricter on the rules from sort of the comms they've sent out. I know they've tightened up on various bits. Last year they changed that you couldn't sort of pass the handle on the skis or the rows over. You had to let it sort of go back into its starting position. So another thing with the doubles is definitely sort of familiarising yourself on the differences between the two sets of rules, whether it's like singles or doubles, and making sure you don't get caught out on that. Laps is a big one, like you just said. Like agree who's going to count the laps, and at least then one of you knows that they've got that responsibility. And yeah, it's great having a plan, but don't be scared to sort of change it when you're out there. I know that's a mistake I've made in doubles before, is trying to be too rigid with a plan. I set off a bit too fast, which I think everyone's probably guilty of in a Hyrox, and just tried to hang on, but it just took me a couple of runs and a couple of stations to actually get my heart rate back settled. And if I'd have just said to Tom, my partner at the time, mate, can you just sort of go into this station first, then I might have been able to sort of address that a bit earlier. So communication probably quite a big one, isn't it, in the doubles?
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, there's two things there, isn't there? There's the where you're at on the event. First of all, if you're doing the men's doubles on the Friday morning in Birmingham, for example, and you literally you're going to be the first people in there, and you won't have been watching everybody else for a day. You need to be able to somehow quickly make yourself acquainted with where's in, where's out, because that first lap might be 2.5 laps. So it might be, you know what I mean? There's different ways you could be half a lap out. So you need to be able to pick something that you know that one lap is at this point, 2 laps at that point. But when you're practicing the next couple of weeks, what myself and Stu did last week, I got a 5 kilogram plate, weight plate, and put it behind the rowing machine and behind the ski machine, and the partner not working had to stand on it. Because in the event, that's what you have to do. You know, if you've been doing sort of partner workouts with your mates in a normal gym, or even at our gym, you've got an opportunity to go and grab some water, have a look what's going on, go and speak to whatever you're doing in that time. On the day itself, you've got to be with your partner for the whole time. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, like we have a little plan, don't we? It's like, well, I'll do this bit first because I will feel better. That might change, and having that relationship where you go, I could do with some help here. You need to be able to have that relationship where you can sort of really just sort of like, mate, I could do with a bit of a hand here. Can you give me a break on these burpee broad jumps? Give me a few seconds to recover. Are you feeling all right? That kind of stuff. Yeah. And do it with, again, back to it. It's a paid-for event that is fun. Very few people there's thousands of people there in Birmingham. You know, you're there to enjoy yourselves, and the people that you're trying to beat might not even be in your heat. you might have your eye on someone in front of you you're trying to beat, and that's fine. But they might set off 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after you, because you don't know it's that busy. So you just race your race and do the best that you can do.
Yeah. So as it gets more popular, like this event in the UK, like there's going to be potentially thousands of people that haven't done one before, and I don't know what the split will be, but obviously some will have. Like, let's talk about some of the things that you can get right to make the day as less stressful as possible. So right from the start, how often do you normally turn up, like, to get checked in and make sure you've got your number written on your arm and everything's in hand?
I treat it like an airport. Like when you go on holiday now, you get there super early, don't you? Just get there on time. Like, get there early. You don't want to feel like you're under any pressure, because it is very, very busy. It is without doubt the most well organised, slick event I've ever been to. But it is run by the majority of people are volunteers. They're there for the first morning as well, especially if it's that first morning or they're tipped up for a shift. So you've got to just go there with a bit of wiggle room in terms of, expect a queue to get the number on your arm, have your ID with you. Expect that if you need to go to a toilet, it's going to be a 10 or 15 minute wait to get into the loo.
Yeah.
There's particular times you can go into a little warm-up area and, make sure that you use that warm-up area and get your body temperature up, so that first couple of laps isn't your heart rate spiking through the roof. If you are, we went down to London, didn't we? On the individuals one, I had a nightmare because I didn't eat right.
So this is the one where we had a Chinese buffet the night before.
Well, we didn't eat right the night before because we went on holiday, didn't we? There was that. But also, I didn't have, because I travelled to the event. Bear in mind, normally any sort of fitness stuff, you just drive and set off, don't you? We travelled, we had an overnight hotel, we had a hotel breakfast, which was actually pretty good. It's not as though we had the fry up, was it?
No.
But it was a 2 p.m, I think, start. So what do I eat and when to fuel that? And as it happened, I ended up getting something from one of the vendors a little bit too late, and I ran 10 minutes slower than I had 6 weeks earlier in Manchester, simply because I was heavy, I was slow, I was still digesting the food. So have a little look at your start time as well. And, unless you're going for a world championship place, get out there and enjoy it and cheer your mates on. I know there's a little bit out there of sort of, saving your energy and all that kind of stuff, but it is ace. It is class in it to get there early and have a look around and have a look around.
As much of the fun is being there and watching other people that doing it. So yeah, unless you're sort of super serious about a time, I don't know how much it'd save you sort of being there a little bit before. It is a bit overwhelming and a drain on energy, sort of being there for hours before you actually race. But if you're there cheering on your mates, I think this is worth the sort of trade off. But yeah, I mean, coming back to that sort of, I think if you leave an hour minimum for sort of getting checked in, giving yourself a bit of time to get to the toilet, leaving time to get stuff dropped off at the bag drop, then you're going to leave yourself 10, 15 minutes to get warmed up. I think you'll be fine with that. And then some of the other, I can tell we're like, 3 weeks away now? And there's quite a few people doing it, Hyrox, different categories in our gym. I can tell the mood's gone from that sort of, not excitement, but sort of, maybe excitement as you get a bit along. It sort of switches a little bit to being a little bit more serious, doesn't it? And people start to think about, I'm actually doing this now in 3 weeks. And I've done it myself. I don't know how many, I've done 10 or 11 Hyrox, and they're always around this time. You start to question whether or not you've done the right training, whether you've eaten right, whether you're going to look good against everyone else with the shirt off running around. I think everyone starts asking themselves these questions around this time and start to doubt yourself. What are you going to be focusing on, or what would you advise people to focus on between now and the actual event to make sure they're going in like fully prepared?
Okay, so this is me. This is just where I'm at. The main things for me, I'm going to continue to run until the last few days, mainly because I've not done enough. I don't feel I've prepared enough on the running. That's how I feel, whether it's true or not, So I'm just going to continue to do my run, maybe some more shorter interval type running. I'm going to get used. I want to know exactly how I'm going to approach each of the stations. I want to know if it's your first time or you've been training in a commercial gym where you haven't got someone walking around trying to help you out as a coach. You want to know that you're hitting the standards. You don't want to get there on the day. You're an hour and 15 minutes in and someone's sending you back because you're not doing your burpee broad jumps properly. You certainly don't want to get to the wall balls and someone's over you going, nope, no rep, nope, no rep. And you don't know what it feels like to do a good one. And you've been going for an hour and a half because it's a lot. Doing 100 wall balls is hard enough without having to do 120 or 130 because you're not hitting the depth. We're going to be working a bit on the sled. We're going to be going, right, how do I hold the sled? Do I have my arms straight? Do I have my shoulders in? How low do I need to be? Are we going to be doing half a bit on the pairs? Are we going to do a half each? Are we going to do a full length each? We're going to work out, ideally, who's going to jump on the row machine first. So Stu, being the stronger runner, we're probably going to do what slows him down and allows me to recover. So we're going to come off the first run. He's going to start the ski. And we think we're going to do 150 metre splits. The reason for that is it's pretty easy to hand the handles over. On the rowing machine, which is a little bit later on after the sleds, we don't want to be getting on and off too much because it's a bit more faffy, isn't it? You can spend as much time getting on and off. We're not going to, little things like, I'm not going to be fastening the little straps across my feet on the rowing machine. By the time I've done that, I've lost 10 seconds. And we're doing that 3 times, it's 30 seconds potentially gone. But again, probably Stu will start on the rowing machine. I'll jump on for a middle section. Stu will finish, allows me to recover before we go for the next run. So yeah, the focus is just keeping me able to work for that amount of time by me getting out running. Running is my weakest part and is actually 50% of Hyrox. So I need to do more of that. And just get used to being around my buddy Stu and working out, like you say, that communication to get us through to the end. But I think, like you say, that the nerves around the gym is have somebody watch how you're doing some of these movements. Somebody, to me, it is literally get someone to say that is not a deep enough wall ball. That wall ball is not going high enough. Or try this little bit of technique and stuff like that. Because if you've just been chucking a ball up against the wall, the ball up against the wall, or you've just been slamming a sled up and down for the last 6 months, and you could find a maybe better way to do it. You don't know what it's like to push that sled after already starting a workout, or the sled pull. If you don't know what it's like to have a 2 meter box to stand in, with someone behind you and a load of rope around your feet, that adds complications as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. About you, Chris?
The more I've done it, the more I've realised that, in these three weeks or what, you're not going to get any fitter now. So for me, it's just a case of not doing anything different, not trying to bring any sort of new movement or new style workout into my schedule that I haven't done before. I just really focused on not getting injured, not bringing in a massive volume of something that I haven't done a lot of. For me, and I think a lot of people that do this style of training, with all the sled pushing, the lunging, Achilles and calf injuries seem to be sort of getting more and more common. So if you want to do more sled work, or get better at the sled, thinking about things like single leg weighted movements is quite good because it takes that load out of the back of your calf and the Achilles. And I think I've seen a lot of people get injured by just doing loads of sled. So just being smart about what you're doing, don't put too much strain on your body now. And then just basic stuff, nutrition is trying to keep on top of that, eating the right stuff so that you're fueling properly, getting good sleep, not trying any or if you're going to sort of plan to use supplements or gels on the day, get used to trying those now in some of your sessions, so you're not turning up and having a dodgy stomach or a bad reaction to something you've not tried before. But the other ones, like trainers, make sure you've tried the trainers out in a Hyrox style workout if you've not used them like that already, or you want a fresh pair for the day. Don't just pitch up and find out that they've got no grip on for the sleds.
You do not want your shoes falling off in the middle of a sled push.
No, absolutely not. It's hard enough without that, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're wearing running shoes, it's a bit more difficult to get in and out of the rowing machine as well. Those little things.
So just
doing lunges in them the massive big shoes with the huge sponge thing.
Yeah.
Walking lunges in those is solid. You got to give it. You've got to practice them.
What you gain in speed, you sort of give up in stability with those type of shoes, don't you? So if you're planning on wearing like a sort of speed-based pair of trainers, making sure any gains you get in the runs aren't wasted with wobbling on the wall balls and lunges. So I think
some of the ones that have got massive bubble in the front that were at the Olympics. A lot of people had in the Olympics.
Yeah,
probably look like they did.
Yeah,
like they don't fit in the rowing machines.
Yeah,
like you need to have the straps super wide to get in, and then if you're obviously on wall, for me, you're on wall balls, you can be all over the place. So it's that halfway house. On shoe choice. I know it's a big debate of what shoes to wear, but the main ones is for me ones that don't fall off.
Yeah, don't fall off. You're comfortable running, say 10k in them.
Yeah,
and they've got good 4-foot grip because that's where you need it. Other than that, it's just down to personal preference, I think. But yeah, keeping it simple, I think is key. Just sound principles of recovery, nutrition, and not chasing gains now, because in reality, if you factor in a bit of a deload in that last week or a taper, then you've got 2 full weeks of training and no one's gaining a massive amount of fitness in that amount of time.
No, and we are going to see, people, like you say, just decide that they're going to stick 200 kilograms on the sled and have a crack. And that's maybe not ideal at this point. I think that's just conversations. The conversation I'm having with people are that they are most worried about whether or not they can do the sleds, and the answer is I've never seen anybody not be able to do the sleds in the 5 or 6 events that I've either been part of or watched. So if you are listening and it's your first one, you'll be fine. Just make sure you've had a go and you've got some idea of where you want your body to be around the sled, and whether it's on the sled pull, how you want to do that sled pull, whether you want to walk it backwards or whether you want to use your arms and your back a little bit more to save your legs, or a bit of both. And everyone gets through it, don't they? That's the thing. You will get through it and you will be fine.
Yeah, like you, everyone is worried about the sleds, but same. I've not seen anybody not manage to do it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of concern around that, but perhaps unwarranted. So
there's a good when you're going to be watching, and I know there's a lot of you hear a lot about Hyrox in terms of movement standards and stuff like that, and if you're spectating, just go with the assumption that if someone isn't quite doing it right, they're not deliberately cheating. You know what I mean? And if they are, then obviously that's just that's them. There's nothing they can do. They're probably going to get from 4,000th place to 3,997 because they didn't do the burpee broad jumps right. It's not a big deal in the vast majority of cases. So you get on with supporting your mates and you do your best and do everything right for you, and don't get too involved in everything else. And there was a judge and they clearly saw someone not doing something right and they let someone get away with something, and my friend got punished and had to do another 5 burpee broad jumps or the wall ball again or whatever. That person could have had a knee replacement. They could have just picked up a charity spot at the last minute. You just don't know, do you? So I think with it being so busy and so much going on, move your lenses away from that to all the positives that come out of being part of such an incredible fitness event.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be bits like that, isn't there? I think hopefully, like this time round, Hyrox are able to get a few more volunteers. I think that was probably where some of the rules weren't enforced fully, just because there weren't enough volunteers on some stations. So, yeah, I'm sure there are people that try it on a little bit with the rules, and equally, there's probably people that turn up without fully understanding them. So there are going to be little mishaps like that, but yeah, like you say, don't let it ruin your day. There's more important things to think about, isn't there?
Yeah, like how well you do.
Yeah.
And how good you feel afterwards, because it is an incredible high. The number of people who book the next one immediately afterwards is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's doing so well as it does because it's for a reason, isn't it? Like, yeah, they know what they're doing.
So you're doing mixed, aren't you, with Joe?
Yeah,
And
so
you're doing a double header.
Yeah, so plan is to do mixed doubles with my wife Jo, and on day one, and then I've got a singles open ticket on the day after. So obviously a little bit different. I've never done two events on the same weekend before, but gonna just see how I feel after the mixed doubles, and I'm gonna give it a good go on the Saturday. But I've got Manchester Pro a couple of weeks after, so sort of half thinking I'm just going to use it as a bit of a way to test out a couple of different things and then really go for it in Manchester in November. But yeah, once I get into that starting tunnel, I'm sure that'll all go out the window.
I think it's music to my ears hearing that, because it's not yet been proven that if someone does a Hyrox event, so let's say there's a Hyrox event 8, they go to 8 in a year, and they're smashing every single event at 100%. Is you've got a plan, haven't you? You've got this weekend coming, the Birmingham one. You've entered the individual pros, which I guess is your main goal, and using that as you step towards it. Just like if you were training for a marathon, you'd probably enter a 10k you'd probably do a couple of 10k runs, wouldn't you? You'd probably do a half marathon at some point, and then to get used to being in a race environment and try your trainers and all that kind of stuff, and then you'd go and do the marathon whenever the marathon was due, and so I think this is the next stage for the height that for this sport, is the events that are not always the events. Is you can use it to go and just fine tune a little bit if Hyrox is your thing, which for you, Chris, it is, and use it as a stepping stone to the next big one, and spend a day with Joe as well, having a great time with the family. It's really
exactly. Yeah, I think that's something I learned like last season. Like just doing every UK event is like it's great, but it's not the way to progress. Like no one would advise you to do an event every month. So yeah, I think just going to be clever and try and just choose the ones where I want to sort of go and give it my all, and then perhaps have a couple where I just go and look to enjoy the weekend and still give it a good effort, but go with the view that I'm just going to go and spend the time with other people and soak up the atmosphere, as opposed to sort of going full out and seeing where I can get to and if I can improve on what I've done previously.
What are you going to be before we go? What's your time at the pro weights?
I think it's 113 is my best that I've done on that.
No.
I think like long term, I want to get like sub 110 on pro and around 65 on open. I think is like probably where I can get to. I've got to keep reminding myself that I only started taking sort of this seriously sort of 4 or 5 years ago on fitness, gone from like not doing anything to where I'm at now, and you've got to be realistic at the same time. I'm not just a athlete, got everything else going on as well, like trying to balance work, family stuff, other commitments with like the kids' activities. So I feel like I maximise my schedule to get enough training in to sort of keep improving for now. But whether or not that holds, I'm not sure. But it's not as important to keep shaving a minute off my high time as it is to burn my relationship with friends and family and stuff, like there's going to be a point where I'm going to say, look, I'm enjoying this now, and the sacrifice of saving a minute is just not going to be worth it.
It is weird that pressure once you've put yourself out there, and I think if you know anyone in the fitness industry who's entered something like this, the pressure feels immense, because there's a perception that all you do is you just train all day and you're really, 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 really fit. It's like, well, actually, I spend most of my day training people to be really, really fit, or to start getting fit. Actually, in our gym, is most people we're getting from, into activity, and they can end up really fit if they stick with us. So when I used to train, I'm now coaching, so I've got to find training around running a business essentially, and full-time work. And kids just like you, Chris, and finding those nooks and crannies for the best bang for your buck. So if I don't break the world record at Hyrox on a week, 2 weeks on Friday, whatever it is, I'm all right with it. But you feel that there's always this thing, to perform for people that it don't really matter who are they.
Yeah, it's yourself, isn't it? And there's a lot a bit of ego involved and things like that. And I think if you're realistic with yourself, like the returns are diminishing at a point. And I think I'm working really hard, and I'm working super hard to try and take 10 seconds off my 1K runs. And it's like, how much longer or is that going to pay back for the sacrifices that I'm making with a young family and other things that I could be spending my time with? So it's fine at the minute. It's at a point where it's a good balance. I really love the training and being around the gym and seeing people working hard. But yeah, just at the same time, being realistic about it. I'm probably sort of overachieving a little bit. But yeah, I'm not going to set my sort of personal value around times. If I can keep improving, amazing. That's what I'm working for. But let's just see how it goes.
Exciting times. Well, we'll see what happens over there, shall we?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be good. It's always good to catch up with everyone, regardless of what goes on.
So we're all going to be in Birmingham. We're the Friday morning. If anyone's listening, Friday morning means Stu and we'll have people from our gym and the community there the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Brum. And there'll be a gang of us in November in Manchester as well, of course. So, yeah. And I'll catch up with you for some training at some point, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. We'll make sure we get that in. But yeah, it's been good to chat. I'm sure if you think of anything else between now and then, we can squeeze another one in. But yeah, thanks for joining, mate, and good luck with the rest of the training. Excited to see how you go on the day.
You too. And on that bombshell, I'm going to go pick the kids up from school.
Good stuff. All right, mate, I'll catch you somewhere soon.
Yeah, cheers, bud. See you later.
Cheers, bye.